Ghosts, may you never be hungry!
Ghosts, may you never be hungry!
Ghosts, may you never be thirsty!
Ghosts, may you never be thirsty!
Ghosts, may your spirit fly free!
Ghosts, may your spirit fly free!
By the grace of Our Lady Mary Overy, let them see. Them that sell their time to earn a daily crust to feed a family. Them that trade the future in stocks and bonds or speculate in property. Them that crunch the numbers on the number-crunching North Bank in the old city, then flood back across London Bridge to take their trains to Gravesend and the estuary. Let them see. In the hungry eyes of debtors doing time with Dickens' father in Marshalsea. The denizens of Bedlam, now entrusted to the care of our community. The homeless in the subways and the dead-end kids from Old Kent Road to Bermondsey. In the skull-faced queers and junkies and the tart who tested positive for HIV. The shining eyes of our goddess of mercy. In the haggard face of John Crow, who watches from his high tower in Trinity, as in the single mother who lives across the road at number 23. The checkout girl in Superdrug, whose name tag says her name is Charity, and in every human face that is pocked and scarred by what we call reality. By the grace of Our Lady Mary Overy, let them see the shining eyes of our goddess of mercy. My whole involvement with this place, you could say, began with a vision, or perhaps a visitation. I was doing some experimental writing on the 23rd November 1996, and I ended up writing a very long poem, The Book of the Goose. And I was working with a kind of alter ego, a persona called John Crow, a kind of automatic writing. And somewhere in the middle of this night, another spirit or character appeared, the goose, who sort of entered this poem and really wrote it. And in that poem she unveils her secret history, the story of perhaps 2,000 years of this area. And at the heart of that story was this place, Crossbones. And as I was writing the poem, it was as if it were taking my mind on a journey just through the writing of it. It was only after I wrote it that I looked into the whole history of this place and realized not only that it was this graveyard, which is referred to in the poem, but which I knew nothing about, but also that it had just been dug up during work on the Jubilee Line extension right here. So we've been campaigning here for 15 years to establish a garden here, as well as to protect this shrine. The site owners, Transport for London, are currently marketing the site for development. And our campaign has very much become focused on ensuring that that development also protects the shrine and the graveyard. And we've proposed to Transport for London that the development take place on the northern part of the site, adjoining Southwark Street, and that this area, roughly from these gates southwards to Union Street, this is the area of the old graveyard, and this is the area that we're campaigning to become a public park, a garden of remembrance, and above all, a World Heritage Site. We haven't got official recognition yet, but already this site is famous all over the world. Photographs appeared in many different countries. It attracts a huge amount of interest. Many people come here every day just to visit it. And we're using that argument, of course, with the prospective developers and with the council and with all interested parties. Tourism is likely to continue to be a very important industry in this area. And we have this unique site. I mean, obviously we have places like Shakespeare's Globe, Southwark Cathedral, Tate Modern, magnificent mainstream tourist attractions. But this is unique as far as I know. It's certainly one of the very few shrines in the world which is dedicated specifically to outsiders and outcasts, and indeed to sex workers. Comes from underground isn't subject to the rule of fear. It must have given you a start to find me so lysergic, dear. When it comes to stealing hearts, and healing rifts between our hemispheres. There's no trick I wouldn't pull to entice you. Over here, I tricked mad John Crow when he was in his ecstasy to lend me his voice to make known my prophecy, that in the month July, and the day shall be 23, in the year of Our Lady Mary Ovary, Southwark shall arise, naked in her liberty, on the south bank of the Thames, arrayed in all her finery, with all her children, endowed with grace and dignity, the deformed and the deviant, embraced into her unity, with Lambeth below her, Blake's garden in eternity. She shall open her loins to make whole the concavity, she'll shuffle 2 right click, then shuffle left another 3, she'll strip the decks for one last sacred profanity, and the hypocrite shall glance. Does she sanction such depravity? The great whore of Revelation, is not that surely she? Relax, dear, you're over here. Don't go busting an artery, or poisoning my rivers with your self-loathing fartery. The body, we all know, dear, is privy to mortality. This flesh shall rot and wither, as you're so fond of reminding me. And when your kind's done, when you're done despoiling me, when you've had your fun, son, you've no further use for me, so pipe down, shut your mouth. Show some respect, humility, and hearken to that silence. What is brimming with immensity, unspeakable, shall speak, and in one word unfold her mystery, pronounce the end of time and beginning of eternity, and all her children gathered there in all their multiplicity, with one voice shall speak her name, and her name is Liberty. Now the thing with the gate is this is a living shrine. It dates back to the first Halloween of Crossbones we ever did on the 31st of October 1998. It's had various flowerings and dyings off, and we decided in 2004 to hold a regular vigil on the 23rd of every month. And one of the ideas of this was to clean the area and to renew the shrine. And so the shrine is really created out of all the different totemic offerings from various people. So as you can see, there's lots of bits of cheap jewellery. We very much encourage that. It's the idea of expressing that feminine aspect of this place, because of course the whole tradition that originally working girls, prostitutes were buried here, but also it was very much a women's and a children's burial ground, although men of course also buried here. It's this recognizing this is a place where everybody is treated with dignity, and it's given the story of Crossbones, the way that the Winchester geese, the medieval prostitutes, were, according to the old stories, were in a sense licensed by the church, but then in death denied Christian burial. And this is perhaps the wound that inspired the work of healing that we do here. And so it's very important to us to include in that people of the world's oldest profession.
Close to here, but far away, we cross the bones to another place where fools and lovers dance together before they fall apart. Rest in pieces on the tarmac, city gardens growing back. The life beneath us kiss our feet with elemental love. We are not alone. We are not alone. We walk between the lines of life.
The Clink prison began in 1144, and it was brought into being by a man called Henri de Blois, who was Bishop of Winchester, and he built 2 prisons attached to his palace. One of the things to consider is that nobody who left the Clink to be executed went to the execution block. They were all too darn poor. They'd get hanged if they were executed. What happens when people die? Do they end up in Crossbones graveyard? Well, that's very difficult to say, because we all know that there were precious few, if any, written documents saying somebody's been put in Crossbones. Chances are that quite a number of people who died in here did go there, but it was by no means the only local burial ground. There were one or two, three others. Probably the rule on whether they went to Crossbones or not would be whether anybody knew them. If you've got somebody who's just fetched up either from the country or on a boat, gets drunk on his or her first night in Southwark, chucked in the clink, and then perishes, Crossbones graveyard is probably where they're going.
Well, I have been engaged with this place for 15 years, and what keeps me coming back month after month is a real sense of connection here. The whole idea of this was to give people a chance to remember, to reconnect, to honour the people buried here, but above all to make a connection with this place. And the more I came here and the more I've done these vigils, the more it seems to me it's not about the dead only, it is about the living and even about the unborn. When I call this gate a portal in the sense of a portal between the worlds, and there's a sense for me of all of time flows through here. When I stand at these gates, I'm not just a little fleck of consciousness in 2012. That little fleck of consciousness is deeply connected with everything that's happened here before and everything that's going to happen here. Now, to me, this is a reality, and it's a reality that we've had closed up for ourselves, really, into time and money and a material view of the world. And for me, it's extraordinarily liberating to come to a place like this. And I'd say that's really what keeps me back, is it makes me free to be here. It sets me free from many of the illusions which I myself have been caught up in at times in my life, which when I look around me, I see so many people caught up in worrying about illusion. And it's very strange that a place that to many people would seem to be a beaten up bit of land covered with a few ribbons, somehow this has come to embody for me a place of great significance, and that when I'm here doing my work here, I'm truly fearless, free, and I know why I'm here.